relationship coach. I'm the Power Coach Martize, and I have a theory. You see, my theory is that our current belief system, it allows us to be disconnected because it allows us to live with a victim mentality. And I want to continue to challenge you as I would challenge myself. Is that if we don't challenge what we've always believed, then ultimately we'll be in a position where we're just gonna recycle those old beliefs. And let's face it, those beliefs have been passed down from generation to generation. Just like those apps on your phone, don't you think it's time to update and maybe even delete some of the apps or some of the beliefs that no longer serve you? Now, welcome to my boot camp. I am extremely excited. Today is day one of my boot camp, so please forgive any glitches in how I set this thing up. I'm just really excited to not only challenge your body, but challenge your beliefs as well. So we're going to get this thing started by challenging your body with 4 1-minute exercises. 4 minutes, right? We all got about 4 minutes we can dedicate to ourselves to help get the body movement. And the first thing I want to start off with is a little stretching. I'm sitting down right now, but let's get this stretching going on. We're going to go small circles going forward, and then we're going to go backwards. Just to loosen up those shoulders, wake up the muscles. If you haven't worked out in a long time, then your body's in for a huge, rude awakening. Well needed, all right? Let's stretch to the left, and let's stretch to the right. Just a little bit about myself for those who are tuning in for the first time. Once again, I'm the Power Coach Martize, gym owner here in Chicago, as well as a relationship coach. And what I did was I combined both physical and emotional muscles, creating It Takes a Village boot camp. But let's face it, we all need some help in some aspects of our lives. Accountability is key. So, with that being said, let's get this party started, shall we? All right. So, the first thing we're going to do, burpees. Everyone's favorite workout, right? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do, again, it's not a pass or fail situation. We're going to go for 1 minute, just seeing how many you can do in 1 minute. The first one is burpees. Now, don't tune out just yet because I said burpees. Listen, it's a full body workout. These are things that we were used to do back in my military days. It was called a full 8 body count or something like that. It worked 8 different muscles. But I'm going to demonstrate, and I'll also show you a modification. Okay. Up, back up, out, back up. For those who are not able to do so, grab yourself a chair and jump out, jump up. If jumping out is too much, go one leg at a time and back up. We're going to do that for 1 minute. Then after that, we're going to lay flat on our back. We're going to do 1 minute of leg raises. Up, down, up, down. Modified. All right. Then after we hit the core, we're going to go right into some leg squats. Feel free to use that chair if need be. Feet shoulder width apart. Squat down, back up. Each exercise we're going to do for 1 minute. The last exercise is everyone's favorite, push up. This time we're going to be flat on the floor. We're going to push up and back down. Modified version, feet up, knees down, and push up. And for those who need even more modification, feel free to use the wall. All right. Now, because you may be watching this on recording, feel free to pause. But the first one is 1 minute burpees. Just see how many you can do. Set the clock for 60 seconds, then go for it. After that, we got the leg raises. You're gonna lay flat on your back, 1 minute, 60 seconds long, 60 seconds strong. That's my theory. And do as many as you can. Then after that, we go right into the squats and then the push-ups. So again, each exercise is 1 minute. Do as many as you can, and then just kind of keep a log in how many you can do. You're gonna notice over time. I'm a little out of breath myself. And you're gonna notice over time that you would begin to do more reps within that minute. That just simply means that your body is getting used to it and that you're building more stamina, building more strength. And ultimately, that's the goal. We appreciate being a little more stronger as we get older because it helps us with just the basic functionalities of life. Being able to open your car door and being able to reach up on a shelf and bend down and pick up a piece of paper. And oftentimes we neglect muscles or we neglect the thought of working out. Um, but ultimately, that's exactly what we need to be doing because we neglect those muscles. And then as we get older, it causes other issues in our lives where we're not able to uh, live a good quality of life. Now, again, working out isn't about living a long life. No one can guarantee a long lived life, but you control what you can control, right? And we want to be able to have a good quality of life. I like quality over quantity. Someone can live to their 95, but if they're sitting in a chair for the last 20, 30 years or 20 years or so, as opposed to someone who may only live to their 70s, but they're very active and being able to enjoy life. I pick quality over quantity all the time. So I want to continue to challenge you as I would challenge myself that movement is good for the body. Whether it's a 4 minute workout, like I just displayed, or a 30-minute hour workout, the key is to get that body moving. It's designed to move. So I want to continue to challenge you. And we're going to be doing this every Monday at 6 a.m. Every Monday at 6 a.m. I'm going to jump on live and make that 6 a.m. Central. I'm going to be jumping on a live where I'm going to be watching people, well, maybe not directly watching you, but giving you some tools to help you get yourself not only in physical shape, but also emotional shape as well. And that's what we're about to dive into right now. Let's kind of attack some of those emotional muscles because, in my opinion, they're tied to our belief system. Our belief system, in my opinion, is rooted in fear, is rooted in insecurities, is rooted in um, these negative emotions that allow us to be disconnected. And in my opinion, it's simply because the belief system doesn't foster self love, self worth. Instead, our belief system is rooted in seeking external validation, external attention, and love. We heard the saying before it's better to give than receive. Now, although I agree with those sentiments, but I think it's slightly misunderstood. You see, our belief system wants us to one day find love, one day find someone that you're going to fall in love with. But oftentimes, it doesn't cultivate self love. In order to give some love, we must be in a position to give it to ourselves first. And so, although I agree with the sentiments of it's better to give than receive, I think it first starts with us. It's better to give yourself love. It's better to give yourself the time, the energy, the validation, as opposed to looking to receive it from someone else. Let's face it, whenever we get into relationships or get married, we often hold our partners accountable for validating us, for making us feel special, for making us feel wanted, for making us feel as men in this culture respected. But I want to challenge that because I've been married, divorced, 10 years later, married again, and on the verge of divorce again, simply because of the belief system that a man is supposed to be respected and he's supposed to be mostly supported by his wife. But my challenge was that until I was able to do that to myself, how can I hold someone else accountable? You see, it's quick to hold someone else accountable for the emotions that you feel they caused. But oftentimes we don't hold ourselves accountable for those emotions. And here's what I mean: our emotions belong to us. They're they're were given to us by our belief system, by our parents and society, but we learn how to deal with our emotions from our parents. And we're mirroring exactly how to handle your emotions from our parents. Now, my parent, a single mom, father wasn't in the picture, and the way my mom would raise her kids is through fear. And here's what I mean: fear of not being a good parent, like so many of us do. And that fear ultimately promotes control. Think about it: when you're on a roller coaster and you're moving and you're going at a high speed, you grasp for control. And so, most parents, particularly, um, I say, not just single parents, but two-parent households, ultimately what happens is that we're so focused on being a good parent in fear of not looking like a good parent. Unconsciously, we look for control of our kids, and that control over your kids can look different in many different households. But ultimately, no one likes to be controlled. It doesn't validate a person when they are being controlled. So what happens? Myself and others, we seek validation externally. And when we don't get the validation, we're disappointed. Disappointed leads to other negative emotions where you're disconnecting. And ultimately, this is something that has led to many a divorce, including one for myself, where I didn't get the emotional support that I was looking for in my first marriage, which ultimately led to me being disappointed, disconnected, and divorced. And without doing any self work, which often is the issue for so many of us, without doing any self work, I remarried 10 years later, leaving my son, who's autistic, without his dad in the house because I wasn't, you know, feeling validated, which ultimately led to the destruction and the divorce of the marriage, but at the cost of my son not being able to have his dad. So 10 years later, remarried, this time having a daughter, and finding myself going through the same cycle again on the verge of divorce. And at that moment, It was like a pair of glasses were given to me where I was able to see this toxic behavior that stemmed from my childhood, the childhood trauma where I was never validated at home. I was never given respect. You see, my mom was a single parent, and because she raised us out of fear, her control looked very toxic in regards to how she talked at us. And that's an issue I have with our parenting because parenting is more looked upon as how good of a parent you are is based on how much control you had over your kids. And that control based on your household, my household looked like more verbal abuse because of the fear that she had of not looking like a good parent. So in order to look be a good parent, I must have control over my kids, and control looks like how I'm talking at them and not with them. Ultimately, what I discover is that when we talk with our kids, include them in conversations, talk to them about what they feel. This would ultimately help validate the kids. They feel more comfortable with feeling a part, feeling like they're a part of the family, feeling like they're a part of the decision making process. Now, I get it. Parents, we do what's best, and we can always consult with our kids, right? But I'm speaking on in terms of things that they're going through in their life. See, let's face it, every experience is a experience, an opportunity to learn. That even includes the experience of having a child. That's an experience. And ultimately, that's an opportunity to learn. But our belief system teaches us that we should teach our kids what we've learned. And what we've learned been passed down from generations and generations. And we're still trying to teach our kids. Now, certain things, yes, you want to teach about respect and manners and things like that. But let's not forget that this child is an experience in our lives that some people are not able to have that experience. And so to look at this experience as an opportunity to learn a part of yourself. Now, your child is ultimately from you. So this is an opportunity to look at a part of yourself to learn more about yourself. And let's face it, they see life in a different lens. And if we remain in a position to learn and becoming a student, we can learn how life looks from a part of us. But we have to challenge some of the beliefs that says that in order to be a good parent, I must be in control of my child. I would challenge you as I continue to challenge myself that those beliefs ultimately can make a child feel um, not validated and not it doesn't cultivate the self-love and self-care because ultimately it's their what's the words I'm looking for, their upbringing is dependent upon your vision of them. And ultimately, what we envision for our kids may not be what they envision for themselves. Just because you are a parent of a child, that doesn't mean you are the owner of their lives. You see, we have this thing in our culture where we claim our kids as this badge of honor. These are my kids. Although there may be some truth in there, but understand that these are other human beings that's having an experience in life, and that we must also allow them to have an experience as long as they're safe, and that experience can ultimately help us learn a new way of life as well, because what we've been learning for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, things are changing. And that's what life is all about. Seasons change. Uh, physically we change. Intellectually we change. Emotionally, those are the things that we often neglect, that emotional maturity. You see, by nature, most of us um, evolves physically, matures physically. I think I said that word right. Physically, I get a little tongue tied there. And by nature, we mature intellectually as well. But emotionally, that's where a lot of us are missing the beat, because no one teaches us how to evolve or mature emotionally. And what I mean is being able to articulate your emotions, teach your kids how to articulate their emotions, because instead of articulating them, oftentimes in our culture, we have emotional reactions. Those reactions can look very toxic, very scary, but at the root of it are emotions that need to be talked out. And so I challenge you, as I challenge myself, instead of having emotional reactions, we must teach ourselves in order to teach our kids to have more of a logical response. And that takes challenging your beliefs, because again, we grow up watching our parents react. Most of us, they have emotional reactions. Whenever someone is upset, they yell. We see it in our homes, on TV. So we learning how to express ourselves. But when we challenge that theory, we find out that when we express ourselves emotionally, oftentimes it allows a disconnection with friends, family, partners, aka divorces. But more importantly, you're disconnecting with yourself. Disconnecting with yourself because you have given away your emotional power. And when you're without power, you are disconnected. And those emotional muscles has a direct tie to those physical muscles. And you wonder why sometimes you're not feeling the best. You're often sick or hurting in any kind of way. It weakens your immune system when you are having that much stress in your body, because you're not able to handle your emotions in a way where you're still able to connect with others and stay connected to yourselves. Ah, it was good talking to you guys. I'm going to wrap this thing up. We're about 24, 25 minutes in, but I am going to leave this portion open for a little Q&A moving forward. Again, this is my first time doing it. I'm really excited. Every Monday morning at 6 a.m. Central Time, we're going to be diving into some physical muscles, and then we're going to jump into those emotional muscles. Because again, as I said earlier, they work hand in hand, y'all. We have to work both in order to stay connected, not only with ourselves, stay connected with our loved ones. I think it's important. I'm the Power Coach Martez. Do yourself a favor today. Treat yourself to a smile. I'm out.